Hello, YouTube. My name is Plazukas. I just got an alert on my phone, and I woke up for this video. Let me just say that I will be covering the pink posts that were made on X recently regarding an unknown person. Um, but before that, let me talk about the current climate that we um, live in or will be living in. And then let me just say that we currently are living in a climate that is not dissimilar to the climate that we're going to be living in. President Trump nominated Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General for the United States of America. And I know there's a lot of pushback on what the allegations are against him for the ethical committee for the Congress about potentially sleeping with a 17-year-old. And right now is being basically summed up as Matt Gaetz didn't know that the girl was 17, and as soon as he was told, because apparently she lied, that she was 17, he broke off and no longer continued to have sex. This is a sitting congressman who was flirting with somebody who was potentially having sex work with somebody that clearly would look younger, okay, at the very least. Whether it be 18, 19, flirting with that age group, right? As someone who is in Congress, I don't know if they were married or not, or if they had any other kind of responsibilities, you know, whatever, right? That's the least of the issue. Um, at the very least, to do that and then now become the Attorney General for the United States of America, to have that kind of thought process as someone who is in their what late 30s, early 40s, or older, um, indicates a lot. Okay, obviously I can go to Donald Trump, who has definitely been convicted of a sex assault charge. Obviously, there is some, uh, there's some credibility, I guess, that's been raised about the actual accuser, Agene Carroll, I think her name, or something like that. And the list goes on and on. Elon Musk has been accused. A lot of a lot of people, prolific people have been accused. Obviously, you have Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, as the most recent person who is being accused of years, decades of potential sexual abuse with these parties that have taken place. That's what's going to happen in the next administration. And I'll be honest with you, I don't believe most allegations, and it will depend on the person who is being accused, obviously, will be taken seriously. If they believe that those people are going to support them, then the allegations against them may be swept under the rug. But that isn't any different than what's happening in some cases now with Merrick Garland, or what's happened in the past in our country, whether it be Biden, Trump, Obama, Bush, Carter, Truman, and so on and so forth. We've had a history of sweeping these things under the rug. And to be honest, there is no possible way to deter all forms of sexual assault, sexual violence, rape, or whatever else, okay? Or even just murder. But to actively ignore it, to have reports of these issues and to do nothing because you as an organization, you as a government entity, suggest that their credibility is in question, whether it be they had prior drug use, alcohol use, whether they have had histories in the past with multiple men, or are in that sex working industry, whether it be OnlyFans or something more physical within the community. they get demeaned, they get ostracized, and they are not credible, and therefore the allegations against or towards the person is ignored, swept under the rug. And I'll be the first to say that yes, of course, there are plenty of people who are being wrongly accused of this for whatever agenda, for money, for power, for attention. Yes, that also happens. And you have to do your due diligence on all sides. And ultimately, there's only so much time in a day. There's so many things that the justice system can do. There's so many things that your state and local legislation can do, or authorities can do. And they have to make a choice on what they prioritize. And if they prioritize other things, or if they feel like there is no credibility here, they're going to not prioritize that. They're going to move on with something that they feel more credible, whether that be credible for political reasons or for financial reasons or whatever the case may be. That's the world we live in. That's the world we have lived in. And I think some of this post that we're going to go over right now is alluding to that. I have made videos that suggest that the current streaming culture is like mini Hollywood, and that all of the things that happened in Hollywood before they were found out about and caught, and technically are still happening in Hollywood, I'm sure, but it's not necessarily unknown, right? People know that these things are happening in Hollywood. So if you choose to do them as a star, you understand that most likely things will come out eventually, hopefully, right? And I think that's happened in the streaming world for the content creators who found fame overnight and got swept under the rug. And I'm sure there's plenty of individuals who are taken advantage of as well. I'm sure there's equal sides of all problems everywhere, right? But if somebody makes an allegation against somebody, at the very least, we have to take them serious to some extent, right? Doesn't mean I have to wholeheartedly believe that individual. But if it's not the first individual, if it's multiple individuals, if it's a common theme or a trend, then yeah, there are definitely signs that probably need to be looked into. And then you got to look at the character of the person. Have they changed? Are they changing? Because that is another aspect of this as well. If we're going to live in this new era and we'll say, well, Matt Gaetz is going to be a better person. I hope so. Donald Trump's going to be a better person. I hope so. Elon Musk is going to be a better person. I hope so. I doubt it, but I hope so. Because if the law can't correct their behavior, then they have to. And if they don't, God save us all. So let's get to these posts real quick. I'm just switching over to this scene. I'm sorry. My bad. All right, here we are. Let me come over here just so I can get a clear view of the post and no, not for any reason besides that. All right. I won't full screen this. All right, so for those who don't know, Pink, her online persona, had relationships with Tectone. That's already been publicly acknowledged. Even Tectone acknowledges it. Obviously, the narrative is that she's weird. Tectone suggests that she's weird. She'll say anything to get attention. The common excuse for why someone accuses somebody of something, right? So let's get to the post and just let Pink speak for herself. Why is it when victims try to come forward about sexual abuse, they get silenced by clout chasers, orbiters, and CEOs trying to line their pockets from advertisers? How many women with the same story have to say something till people realize they're protecting an abuser? Well, historically speaking, up until the last 10 years, it took an infinite amount of people because a lot of these allegations were never taken seriously to the extent that they should have been. Because unfortunately, if you just say something and you don't have proof, it's hard to convict. And that is still true today. And although there have been cases where people have been convicted just based on based on testimony, that has not been historically the trend. The trend is that you just go through the investigation, you find there's not enough evidence, and then you book it, you file it somewhere, and it stays for whatever time, and maybe they never get accused again, and then that's it. Or maybe somebody comes in, a chief, and gets rid of those files after a certain predetermined amount of time, and nobody ever knows that even happened in the first place. And then maybe another one comes along in 10 years, but at that time it's too late from the first to the second, and they can't put the connection there, and then the person gets away with it, or whatever the case may be. Like, this happens all the time. And then if you have people in these positions, which you do commonly, that are basically participating in illegal activities, whether it be related to sex or not, then yeah, you're going to be more likely that it's going to be swept under the rug, or worse. Okay. It has baffled me how this streaming industry acts like a mini Hollywood, blacklisting victims so no one will hear them out. No one wants to support them publicly, so victims are afraid to speak up, and millionaires that abuse women just continue to get away with it. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And I don't know if Pink is speaking to what she is witnessing right now with the Trump administration that's coming in. But again, like I said, it doesn't matter what administration. It's happened in every administration. The fact that someone like Puff Daddy, Epstein could have lasted as long as they did, Bill Cosby could have lasted as long as they did, when all the rumors were circulating, with how many victims were out there, that's a testament to how much corruption, okay, how much people wanted to continue to benefit from that knowledge, or benefit from the fact that this Hollywood is messed up. That's being nice, right? And unfortunately, with Trump being president, guess how many more? And I need to make this very clear. It's not just women who are sexually abused. It's also men who are sexually abused. Period. Full stop. And everything else in between. That's just a reality. And with Trump, yeah, there's going to be less people come forward because nobody believes that they're going to be taken seriously, and everybody believes they're going to be blacklisted or discredited, just like Matt Gaetz accusers have been and will be, and anybody else that comes forward against them about SA or whatever else. We had a public hearing for a sit in Supreme Court from an accuser about an SA situation. And this individual still became a nominee for the Supreme Court of the United States of America, a position 1 of 9, I believe. How are you supposed to feel if a guy is abusive and makes you cry, then shoves your head on his crotch and demands you suck him off, and his excuse is emotion just turns me on when you cry? I hate that people warn me. I didn't listen because I was so manipulated. I hate that I was lied to when another girl who went through worse was trying to come forward. Me and her are good now, but I should have listened. When you're in it, you feel blind to reason. Yes, this is common in many relationships that are affected by manipulation or abuse. You think, well, it's not going to happen to me. It happened to them because they did something wrong or this and that. When some people are just built to be abusive. And that is not entirely their fault either, right? We have to look at the reciprocal nature of abuse. Whether somebody else got abused and then that person got abused and that person got abused, does that make it right? No. Is that an excuse? Probably not. Maybe scientifically through therapy and stuff like that, through how the brain works and functions. There was the recent case of the brothers who were convicted of killing their parents, which was a Netflix show. I can't think of their names off the top of my head. Now there's conversations about having another appearance in court to exonerate them because of all the abuse they were um, exposed to. Does that give them a right to murder somebody? No. Does that give them motive to murder somebody? Probably not a good enough motive to get away with murder. Maybe manslaughter, right? So there's levels here. There's layers here, um, and you don't know where it begins. And yet, we as a country don't even have the conversation. We have conversations about a lot of things in this country, but some of the most important things we choose not to have a conversation about. And there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of embarrassment, rightfully so, about these issues, and that's why they'll never come out. And then victories like Donald Trump are not going to help our cause any, period. They just won't. They actually make it worse. And they push back years and years of progress, 10s, 20 years of progress. And so now we go back to the beginning. Is it going to reset entirely if there's a new president in the next 4 years? I'll be honest with you. I don't think we're ever going to elect. I don't think we'll elect another Democrat for a good 8 to 12 years based on this current climate. If it changes, maybe, but it depends on who's gonna basically rise from the ashes of the Democratic Party. It may be even be a third party candidate. Who knows? I don't think we're going to have somebody like that to champion, progressive values, identity, all these things. Good luck. Okay? It's going to be more like, have faith in God kind of thing. And when God, basically took you into a confession booth and molested you, that's what we're dealing with as well. But if it didn't happen there, it happened in schools, which is an elitist, democratic institution. It was happening there as well. The Democrats are just as guilty as the Republicans. Republicans have the church. Democrats have school predominantly, and they both have, tens of thousands of accounts of sexual abuse. So now it's going to be the church, and then it's going to be the schools, and then it's going to be the church, and then it's going to be the schools, and then it's going to be the church. And you got all these people who are affected, priests that have interactions with 100 people. What do the 100 people do? 100 people turns into 1,000, 1,000 turns into 1,000,000, 1,000,000 turns into a billion. Of really unfortunately traumatized individuals, and if we know anything, about trauma, a lot of it's reciprocal. A lot of what happens in your past informs you in your future. That's not an excuse, but it is something that science has seen, and we have to be knowledgeable. We have to be we have to think about that. I see comments that are worried, and I just want to let you know I am out and I'm on my own and I'm safe. Don't want to worry anyone. I've been taking it one day at a time since this. I feel so much better. Thank you for the love and support. I hope the next girl sees it and is able to stand up for herself. I think I need to say my piece so I can move on. I don't care about things blowing up. I just wanted my side to be heard. Okay. As far as I know, that's the exchange from Pink's perspective. This was 12 hours ago, which would put it at around. We'll just see if Tectone or anybody else in this orbit. I'm going to. Here's why I say Tectone. Okay. Here's
All
why.
right, Jack, good morning. We all just woke up and
I have
Hello, Twitch. My name is Plazukas,
a little bit of an inside information,
caught me while I was offline.
and I'm not going to go into details as to what that
you
is.
missed me.
But yes,
My bods are on the
I have every assumption that this potentially person that is being talked about in Pink's X is Tectone. So this stream happened 16 hours ago. So most likely weren't able to talk about the allegations, and I don't see a stream that happened sooner, and so you have to go to X to see if there's any form of acknowledgement, which I don't know if there will be, which would be smart if there isn't. Has your type always says facts don't care about your feelings. Also, how's your rapist allegedly buddy Tectone doing? Yes, Tectone. I saw the post and I heard about your abusive behavior. You are truly sick. Okay, so this is Casey Tron. This is 8 hours ago. Frogan has been on ban. Okay. Let's go to Tectone's actual channel. Let's get a feed here. Okay. So, no replies, no responses, nothing like that. And I'll be honest with you, that's uncharacteristic of Tectone. Usually comes out swinging, but I will obviously keep you updated. The fact that Casey Tron comes out and asserts that it is most likely Tectone that is being described here. And I will say this. I would not just make up, this information to suggest, oh, it's just Tectone because of the narrative about my YouTube channel or about Tectone. No. I have inside information as to, that relationship previous, the pattern, the history, the organization that is OTK, what is comprised of it. But it's even more broader than that. It's the content creation space. It's the need to manipulate. It's the need to have these parasocial relationships. And in the minds of somebody who's willing to take advantage of somebody, that is a very scary weapon that can be wielded against unsuspecting people, against youthful, impressionable people. And it's happened. It's happened in all spectrums of our society. And it's scary. And I'll be honest with you, it's only going to get worse. So stay tuned. I will try to follow any more information that's developed out of this. This is still developing. It's 12 hours old. Tectone usually has a stream today. But I want to say this. I guess it's convenient for me to say it at the end. I don't know who Pink is technically accusing here. If you're asking me, swear on the Bible, is it this person or that person? No. The posts are very ambiguous and non-specific. But I can deduce based on my own personal information, and I would testify to some degree on that. But I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, I might not be willing to say a name then. But I can make some assumptions and make some, assumptions probably wouldn't work in court. So therefore, I'm not a lawyer. All right. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And unfortunately, I have to end this by saying, who knows what's really true or not? Because that is the reality that we live in. It's not what's true. It's what people believe.